I'm Avalaura.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is Black Leave America podcast, where we highlight holistic wellness, travel, mental health, and self-care through traveling outside of America to reconnect and rediscover who you are. It's time for us to leave any condition that disrupts our peace. Black Women Leave America opens your eyes and explores new ways of living, but more importantly, new ways of being. Because sometimes you have to leave in order to find yourself. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Black Women Leave America podcast, the live edition. I am your host, Avalaura, and this is your other amazing host.
My name is Jessica.
Her name is Jessica. And today we're really excited. We are continuing our Coming From America episodes. We've been talking about this show, for the past, I done lost count, 9 weeks now.
Yeah. Super excited for it too. Like, it's super dope. And I'm loving these interviews that we're doing with the amazing cast. So yeah, it's so amazing. I love it.
And it's been really cool because we talked about the show and now we're interviewing the cast. And what I love about it is, traditionally we focus on women, because we're women. But I love that we've gotten a chance to really talk to families. And I think that was important for a lot of you all who do have families, right? Because a lot of times I think when you're a single woman, it's easy to say, well, of course, okay, I can solo travel. These are all the things that I can do. But what do I do when I have a family, right? When I'm married and I have children and all these things. And so we're really excited to have Ayo and Tony with us today, which we call the OGs of Coming From America, right? Because they've been in Ghana now, I think, for about 4 years. So if you have any questions about living in Ghana, moving to Ghana, about the show, go ahead on, put them in the chat. We will make sure that we ask them. I already have some questions from some of my audience, and we're going to welcome them on and get started.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and play the intro and we'll welcome them in.
I want to go back to the motherland. I want to go back home where I'm from.
Dude, you from the Bronx.
Tens of thousands of Black Americans are moving to Africa.
Are you ready for Blackzit?
Black people, do it.
When I came to Ghana, I stopped being a black man. I was just a man.
As I announced it to people, everybody was like, oh, you're moving to Africa. They reacted like I was dying.
Everybody's black, everybody's rich.
Real estate out here is amazing.
Go back and trace your roots.
Opportunities are everywhere to get it done.
But you should know, if you don't have an open mind, this is not going to work.
No, bro, I don't want no goat.
I cannot live where it smells. I'm sorry.
There's flies all the time.
Mommy, code blue.
10 days. 10 days with no water.
And it's hot.
You got to be in shape to visit Africa.
There's no streetlights.
In Ghana, I don't know where I'm at.
He's coming this way.
It's very good for hormones too.
Oh. And I thought the LA dating scene was crazy. Oh.
You remember coming to America?
Yes.
This is the opposite.
I love it. I love
that intro. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and welcome our...
I was like, what is that? I was like, oh, that's welcome. Hey, how you doing?
For the longest times, we said we were going to have sounds and then we didn't. And all of a sudden, Jessica now pulls out all the drums and all the things.
We're down.
The virtual mat. Welcome to the show, y'all.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
And, for those of you who are coming to us from the Expat Live Ghana side, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Hey,
Yes, thank you so much. So I do want to say something. Every time I play that intro, the things that stick out to me are what you said, Tony, right? I stopped being a man. I stopped being a black man. I just became a man. I just love that. I love
Yeah, that rings true here so much every day I'm here. I get lost in the sea of blackness here, and it's liberating to be just in the majority. So yeah.
Ooh, in the majority. Wow. Yeah. Especially what we're experiencing here now. We're not gonna get into all that. But it's a beautiful thing to be in the majority.
Yeah, that it is.
So I want to ask you all. So we got to know you through the show, right? And I know you have a whole audience here on YouTube that has known you probably prior to that. How did you all decide to come to Ghana, and how long ago was that for you? Because it was before this show started.
Oh yeah, for sure. What's really what's most interesting, I think, when people take a look at us is that Tony has found himself home, but he is full on American. He's a Black American. And for me, my dad is Ghanaian and Nigerian, and my mom is European, French Canadian. So this has always been a part of I'm African American. So this has always been part of my.
Yeah, you were going to do this anyway.
So like my first trip to the continent was when I was 1. And it's a different thing. So it's funny when we have this conversation and we talk about deciding to do this, that we are having 2 completely different journeys and different experiences. And I think it's always a good reminder that the Black experience is not monolithic, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not just one. We come to it with different backgrounds and opinions. And you never thought you would be living.
Nope. All right. I'm sure at some point I will come and visit the continent, but live here, no.
So Tony, where are you from originally?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin, born and raised. My parents are both from Louisiana. Most of my family is in the country in the South. So, originally from Milwaukee. Yeah, that's a crazy place to be from.
I was about to say, this is
no.
So
okay. Yeah. If you don't know about the 53206, wow, it's a wild place to grow up as a Black man. So, I really appreciate living here.
Yeah,
that put so much into context that we did not see on the show. It makes so much more sense now. So, how did you all meet?
I found him in my shower.
Oh, yeah. I was a homeless guy. I was squatting in this nice lady's house.
No, Tony's a contractor, and I was walking through a house to decide if I wanted to rent it, and they were still doing renovations. And so I went into the bathroom, and he was standing in the shower, and I was like, "Oh, hey." He was dressed. He was fixing the shower. So
you got a whole lot of
you got to do it properly, right? No. Yeah.
This was about to turn into a different show.
I decided. I ended up renting the place, and it still had a few repairs that needed to be done. And so he gave me his number so that I could, of course, get a hold of him to fix the odds and ends.
Good job, Tony. Good job.
Yeah, she was calling me every other day. I was like, you know what? It'd be cheaper if I just moved in with you, and you didn't have to call a handyman anymore. I can just be your handyman. And 30 years later.
I love it.
It's been 85 years. It's been, 107 years.
A couple kids and a couple lifetimes. That it feels like, you know.
It does. It does.
I love it. No, I listen. I love Black love. I think that is so dope. So really, 2 different backgrounds. You all came together, and so when in your marriage,
hold on, Avalaura, you're skipping over. Who asked who out first? Who asked who out?
We still argue about this. You claim I winked at you.
Okay.
But I wink at everybody.
I'm not going. Yeah. She winks at everybody, and because she does this, like she winks at everybody. She doesn't know she did, but now Luke is doing this, and she caught Luke doing it to a lady today. That she was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" They're shaking hands, and Luke winked at her, and I'm like, "That's your boy."
Now you see what you passed down.
Yeah. You'll end up married with some kids if you keep that wink. You gotta keep
that. It works.
But I don't even remember really. He came over a couple times to fix things, and we just had such great conversation that it just seemed natural. Like, hey, you want to go grab a bite to eat? I don't remember even who asked to.
Yeah.
But even now, we are 2
Different people.
So different
Completely.
people.
We are.
You saying that from the show, which is why I wanted to know how it happened.
Yeah. It's like, backgrounds are different, but similar.
I mean, yeah. We always joke we could have run into each other.
Yeah.
When we were in our younger days.
Like,
Maybe we did, but we wouldn't have noticed each other even if we did.
We're just, I think growing up got us to the point where we would eventually meet, and that was the time we were supposed to meet. Because I'm convinced if I would have met her 5 years earlier, she wouldn't have went out with me at all, and I would have never. I would have been like,
we would never have, like, honestly, I'm telling you, even after, like, even if we had gone to a step or two after the moment that we met, I don't know that we would have jived in the same way either. I think there was something about that
moment, that time.
Wow.
Anyway.
Then we moved to Texas for a while, for like 10, 15 years.
No,
like
stop. No, we're not like 100 years old.
No, seriously, we're in Texas for a long time.
Yeah, we were.
For like 10 years, 11 years.
Okay, yeah.
And we have some people here from Texas, representing from Texas.
I know, represent.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was always like we take trips periodically to come back to the continent. Like that's just, like that is how I grew up. And so before me, I don't know that you really thought about traveling to Africa at all.
No, go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
The man didn't even have a passport before he met me.
Listen, I didn't have nothing to say.
She don't feel like whole until she's interviewed. And
I was just about to say, no, I don't have. Let me upgrade you in here. So hold on, let me go grab it. No, just kidding.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but part of this is the mentality of how we hold ourselves in America is that you don't need a passport because where else would you ever want to go?
Right.
And I think that it speaks especially to Black Americans and people of color, because the subtext is, this is all you will ever, this is all you deserve. This is the best you can ever have. And so the possession of passports for people of color is so low that it almost is like, is that message reinforced? And so I think that when I say that, it's not to be like, oh, you didn't have a passport. It's that you were in a culture where you could never imagine that. Why would you ever leave?
Yeah, it was like, anything you want to do is here, and this is the best of the world. So, and until you start traveling, you're like, hey, you know what? This place over here isn't that bad. They may not have the infrastructure you have, but they don't got all that garbage that you carried around either. So,
so that very first trip, so my dad had retired and come back to Ghana in 2020, and so he was back here, and he was like, "You've got to come. I want you to bring the family." Like, he just pushing.
So that's why you were saying you came for your dad.
Yes.
Okay.
So that first trip was in 2016, and we went because Leo, who's our youngest, you fly free until you're 2.
Oh.
And so it was like, we got to go before he turns 2, because then we have to buy another ticket. So can we go now?
Yeah.
And so that conversation was very much, we're going to go. We should go for like 6-8 weeks. And Tony was like, no, absolutely not.
Well, then also let's talk about the history, right? Let's also bring that into this conversation, right? Historically, in Black communities, it was dangerous for Black people to travel outside of where they knew. And
the thing was, you're not accepted over there. You're not accepted here. You can't even go places here. Why would you?
They're not going to let you in. That whole conversation always been said.
Exactly. And a lot of it for me is, I like traveling where I feel comfortable, where I'm accepted. And a lot of places that we're told is so nice and is so great, they aren't very accepting of us. So you have to be, and I tell people, you don't have to be Black or white. You have to be a certain level of green to move around in some places and not feel. So me not being a certain level of green, I tend to choose where I'm comfortable. So I didn't know Africa.
And it makes sense, and that's why I'm actually glad we're having this this conversation, because we talk a lot about that. And America is like the greatest marketer, right? We're the
Right.
best. There is nowhere else to go. Selling the American dream that probably will never really existed for Black folks and definitely does not exist now. And so that mentality was very, very real. Is that why would you go anywhere else? And if you did, where would you even go? Like for what?
Right.
And so I love this shift that's happening, right? Like, we started this podcast before COVID, and it's gotten even bigger, of course, during COVID now, where so many Black Americans are like, I have options.
Yeah.
And that's the message. That's the takeaway. And and that's why it's so important to keep having these conversations, so that you realize that you do have options. And not only that you have options, but that any option that you explore is going to give you such a different perspective on life and let you walk in a different kind of way, in a different kind of body. And that's what goes back to that opening credit for Tony.
Yeah.
It's really, again, the duality of our experiences. Like, to me, I never had that. Like, I wasn't so aware of the limitations that America put based on color, because I grew up with an African father who was always like, we came on a plane, not a boat. This is not our story. So let's just do what we got to do. And so I never had that minimization that was associated with my Blackness. That was never like that. We just did not. Honestly, there were times when you and I were dating and I'm in my 20s and 30s and you would be like, racism. And I'd be like, oh, is that really? Okay.
Wow.
Because I didn't make that connection. My race was not that.
Yeah. And for me, and I'm a former police officer from Milwaukee.
Okay.
My race, I've that's all I ever really thought about. And going back to being from Milwaukee, Milwaukee's like the most segregated city and the most segregated state you can come from. So, like she said, my lens was very different from hers.
Yeah.
And I think one of her first experiences as an adult, we shared, and we were traveling, and it was we got pulled over in Southern Illinois. And even before we were pulled over, I knew we were about to be pulled over because
we had stopped at a gas station to fill up and switch drivers, right? And we switched, and Tony was like, "Did you see where the cop went?" And I was like, "I didn't. Cop? What?"
Yeah, she was like, "What cop?"
You track them, right? You looking because you want to see where they go.
Yeah, my Blackness radar went off when that police car was. I was like, "Hey, it's a cop around here." Yep, there we go. And he disappeared, and we switched over, and she was driving, and yep, here we go.
We didn't even get back on the highway. It was like we turned out of the gas station and then turned onto the on-ramp and got pulled over. And I was like, there's literally no traffic violations you can break at 2:00 in the morning, taking 2 left turns with no traffic lights, like no stop signs or traffic lights. How did
driving while Black? That's it.
And I was her infraction, ma'am. Did you know you was driving with a Black man at 2:00 in the morning in your car? And it was like, one of those things where he basically was at her window. She was the driver, and his sole focus was me.
You.
Okay, good. You got your license. Okay, well, whose car is this? Oh, it's a rental car. Oh, who's this guy who's rented in? Well, let me see his license. I know you don't need my license, but it's 2:00, 3:00 in the morning somewhere in South Illinois. I don't want any problems with you, sir. None at all. Here's my license. Here's my birth certificate, my mama's maiden name, social security number, work ID. What else you need? Man,
I was so frustrated in that polo. Like, to me, that was where I was like, what they don't have. And I'm asking him, like, what is it? What do you want? I'm pushing back because it's, to me.
Right.
Again, different context, right? The man has the flashlight in the children's eyes in the back. They're asleep. It's 2:00 in the morning. They're babies. Why are you flashing flashlights in babies' faces? But again, it was just this idea, like, we're pulling off. And I was like, I don't even understand why he pulled us over. And Tony's like, because we're Black. They're like, oh.
But yeah, then it was like, oh, okay.
Is that like, does that happen all the time? Like,
yes, sadly, yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I love this because it was like you all were each other's balance, right? Like, he showed you a world that you didn't know, and you showed him a world that he didn't know. And
I wouldn't say. I showed her the underbelly of the world she thought she was in.
And I just love the way he protected you too, right? He was like, "Oh, the cops here. Hold on. Let's be aware, right?
Yeah.
Let's make sure our surroundings are safe and making sure." And he's like, "They're gonna pull us over."
Had I been alone, the cop situation might have turned out differently because I was a little charged up. It was like,
oh yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure he was like touching you, like, "Hey,
yeah. No, he was just sitting there as calm as could be, and I was like,
I was about to say he was trying to
not getting
survive.
mad.
Yeah,
you knew what
I knew.
was up. Well, and so to take that police encounter and move it forward, we did get our 2016 was our first family trip, and I wanted to go the whole summer, and Tony was like 2 weeks really, and we settled on 3 weeks, and within 2 days of being here, he came to me like the third day and he was like, "We should have stayed the whole summer." And I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it, Tony? What happened to create that shift?
I think when I was here, how people made me feel. You know, we get this thing, oh, Africans don't like you, and this. Oh, I got here. It was like, oh, I couldn't. Everybody I met was, oh, my American brother's come home. Oh, my American brother. And I was like, wow, it was really weird. But the thing that really in that third day that she mentioned, it was I went out for a walk with Pop, and we were out.
That's my dad.
Yeah, it started getting late, and I was like, Pop, we got to turn around. It started getting late. It was like, okay, it's dark. We're gonna turn around, and we'll take the shortcut. And it was through a little alleyway, and I'm like, yo, and
that's not safe.
And he looked at me and just still walking. And I'm like,
there were some young
and then so it's like 3 or 4 guys, as we're walking. I'm like, oh, here we go. So I'm like, I can take 2 of them. I'm bigger than they are. I'm gonna kill them. There's 2 more I gotta worry about. And we got about 15 feet away from them, and they were almost standing at attention, like, oh, good evening, sir. Good evening. And I'm looking like, what is going on? Every last one of them said good evening to us as we passed by, and went back to their relaxed position as we walked past them. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, man, I still got all my money in my pockets. Did this really just happen?
Wow.
And they're accused that being from America, if you have, and they clearly knew I was not from here, by my what I was wearing, I guess, but it didn't matter to them. They were respectful of my age to them. Oh, good evening, sir. Respectful of my father-in-law. Hey, good evening, sir. Good evening. And I was like, whoa. And there were no fights, no gunshots, none of that stuff in those 2 weeks that I was here. And all I could think of was how it made me feel just to be around people who Ghana's like the top 5 safest places in Africa, and I'm like countries in Africa. And I'm like, well, now I understand. The people here are so welcoming, kind, great hearts. I can't say enough about the people of Ghana, and one of the things that it's funny now. The longer I'm here, the more I get this. I surprise people that I'm not Ghanaian.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And even like last night, dealing with the guy at the electric company, and he said something to me, and I was like, no, my wife, she's Ghanaian. And he stopped and says, you're not Ghanaian? Yeah. And I'm like, I said, no. He says, oh, I thought you were Ghanaian and you were abroad, you come home. I was like, well, no, I came home, but I'm Ghanaian now. But,
right.
So, I tell you, every black man that I know that comes to Ghana and they start getting that, it makes them harder. It makes it harder for them to leave.
Wow.
They're like, man, I know I'm not going to find that anywhere in the States. And I have to come back here to get that. So we see this this rush of people coming back. From last year to 2 years ago, they're coming back, and they're like, only understand what you're going through, what you went
Yeah.
through, and yeah, that's what I need. So
You know,
yeah, that's why I'm here.
I love these conversations because I so wish there was more of that portrayed in the show. They talked about it, but this is such a deeper context of really seeing like the full picture of things and understanding why it was so important for you to stay. Because when we watch the dilemma, like, you know, should we stay or should we go? And we talked about that on our podcast and just how you all came to that conclusion. Like, how did that happen for you, Ayo? Because I thought what you said was real. Like, you know, I have an aging mother, you know, life is not promised. We don't know what's going to happen. So how did you all come to the conclusion that, you know, this is the compromise and this is what we're going to do?
Well, I'm gonna trailer what you've just said and say stay tuned for that answer, because I want to add one more piece of nugget in here. Is that Tony came back from 2016 and that was huge for him. We went again in 2019. And 2019 was the year of return, and that's where you really, like, he was like, I'm gonna go live like I'm living. So he was out doing all kinds of stuff. I was like, he was. And after that trip was kind of where we're like, okay, how do we make this work? And that's when we had the second police encounter that kind of defined this transition. And so I'm trying to piece together your story for you a little bit more, but it was actually the second one where the conversation really changed. So you kind of get the context of having gone through these first two trips and just really feeling a different weight of your life. Like you walk in your skin in a very different way. And when Tony talks about walking down the alleyway, I always think it's so sad, because what it really says is that even as Black people, amongst Black people in America, we're taught that we're dangerous to ourselves.
Yes.
We're not even taught that we're okay around each other. Yes. And so that is a construct that when you're here is just not a thing. So to think about going through and hearing his journey, those first two trips, and thinking about our boys and how our journey as women is very different than the journey as men. And so here we are. He's telling me that this is what's happening for him. And all I can think of is, am I asking for our boys to pick up the baggage that he's so happy to put down in order for them to be in the US? And then the second police encounter happens. So do you want to tell them what happened?
That was very, very negative. She told you how nice the first one was. Yeah, well.
You said that was nice.
Long story short, I literally got pulled over for no reason at all other than having a very nice truck in a very nice neighborhood that was predominantly white. And it was a work truck, my company's truck.
It's your work truck. For the company that he had.
Yeah, for my company.
Yeah.
And I'm coming out of a nice neighborhood, and you know, again, I'm very alert to the police being around me, very keen on my environment and surroundings. So I see a police car block ahead of me, parked, and I check my speed, check everything. I'm good. There's just one thing I can't check, and that's what he pulled me over for, and that was, you know, my Blackness. And he wouldn't give me a reason for pulling me over. All he wanted to see was my ID, and I didn't want to give it to him because he wouldn't give me a reason why I pulled over. My lights are good. I know everything on my truck is good coming out of that neighborhood. Nope, can't have it until you tell me why you pulled me over. And I ended up in the back of his car.
Ooh. And handcuffed in the back of his car.
All I could think of is how I was just supposed to give up my rights that they say I have, and just let myself get violated just so he could be happy about, you know, okay, he got his papers, he's good to go free. And that's kind of how it felt. And, you know, that changed me because at that moment, when the guy took off the handcuffs, if you would have told me it was a plane ticket waiting for me at the airport, I would have went straight to the airport, called my wife, and like, I'll be in Ghana whenever you get here. We'll be waiting on you.
He was very, like, this was an event where we went to the police station, we filed a report. Like, it was literally one of those escalation scenes. And that night when you came home, you were so upset about the whole thing. But the thing that you said that bothered me the most was, that at one point you weren't sure if you were going to come, if you were going to make it out. And it was like,
Yep.
how are you driving? Like,
Yep.
to me, again, the different journeys of how this works for us is like, to me, it was like, it's unfathomable. I don't even understand how you can be in the right, do the right thing, and then someone say, well, you know, we know your type, we know your kind. The chances are you're going to do something bad eventually. So let me just take care of that right now for you.
Or you fit the description of.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so disheartening. And again, it's a reminder that, for me, it was a reminder that, like, is this what I want?
Yeah.
For our kids to continue to have to figure out, to have to navigate. And so that was really where then we come to the decision of, you know what? My dad is getting older. You really enjoy this life. I have started to build a business and I can do it from anywhere. So if not now, when? Like, we are really great at saying to ourselves, like, someday. But what we have to remember is that someday today, because today was yesterday, someday is today. So we should just do that now. And you can always go back. Like, there's nothing that you have in your moment right now that you can't return to if you choose to.
I love that.
And I think that was really, like, to say that in our context was like, if we want to come back and get a new car, like, we get a new car, or, you know, you want to move to like, we can get a house, I can find a job, you can find a job, we're employable people. So let's do it.
Listen, that is so real, and you know, we talk a lot about that because that's the reality of it, right? Like, a lot of times people aren't leaving not because they don't want to, and not even leaving per se, like that's always the reason, but just making those changes, right, out of fear. But you're absolutely right. Just try it, go for it. If it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. You go do something else.
And he's coming from construction. I was coming from education. Like, there's teaching jobs everywhere. I mean, why am I so afraid that this is going to be bad? Why are we so afraid? And so after that incident, that was 2019. Like, that was when we went supercharged on, we're saving every penny. We don't spend for anything. Like, we're downsizing, we're selling. Like, let's start to pare down and figure out how to make this happen. And we kind of set ourselves a date out in 2020 that we would be like, okay, let's just go. We'll go for 2 years. Okay. So that was 2 years. The kids were at that age where it was like, one was going to be in middle school, and nobody likes middle school, right? So it's like, if you miss middle school, it'll be okay. Right. The other one hadn't started school, so it was like, he doesn't know what he's missing, so we'll just like leapfrog you, and then you all can come back and just go back to your lives. So we agreed on 2 years, and then we came
4 years later.
We sold everything. We sold the cars. We have one storage unit in the States, and that's, I think, mostly like pictures and, you know, things you can't get rid of.
Like, I don't want to take this, don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So,
and we moved with 8 suitcases, 2 suitcases per person and a backpack apiece. And that was in 2020 when the borders opened.
Yep.
I love it.
Number 2020.
I just want to acknowledge some of these comments over here.
Yeah, I was to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica.
Pull them up on the screen here. So we see you guys from Dallas and Texas.
Yeah, Wendell, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, there's some further down.
Forward to this.
Tracy, hey Tracy, how you doing?
Hi, Tracy.
Letitia, hey Letitia, when you coming back?
Texas is representing, okay?
Yeah, Texas is home.
Say yes, indeed. Go where you're celebrated, tolerated.
She took a tour with us last year. She's like family now. My cousin in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to. Wendell had a comment in Albert. Had a really, really powerful comment as well.
Yeah, Albert down at the bottom.
Yeah, we're Africans being Africans, no matter who you are. Africans being Africans. Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah.
you know, when they talk about, you know, African Americans having PTSD, I mean, like it's really real. It's ingrained in us at this point. We really are traumatized from living in this country. When people try to say, you know, slavery is over and racism isn't real, but we're still feeling the effects. And so I really love this comment because he's like, yeah, I'm here and I still have to remind myself. You know what I mean? It's okay. I'm safe. You know, it's not, it's different here.
I'll tell you, the first time I heard a gunshot here at a funeral for a chief.
Oh.
And because I'm conditioned, I hear a gunshot.
Yeah.
I stop, drop, work, okay.
Yeah.
It's coming my way. Should I be worried? So I didn't know. And you know, I get out of my car and you hear pow, pow. Some guys with a shotgun. There's like 5 guys with shotguns. They're shooting blanks.
They're blanks.
And they're just running, pow, pow. And I'm like freaking out.
The ceremonial blanks.
And
like
nobody else.
Not a thing.
Right, they're good.
But me, I'm like,
Yeah.
So, okay, this was on a Friday night. Now, come Saturday, now this is all you hear Friday night. Come Saturday, same thing. Saturday evening, I'm now to the point where they start shooting. I'm not freaking out.
Right.
Okay, I think everything is over. Okay, they're done. It's over. Nope. Guy comes right behind me. And I'm jumping. This is like this 80-year-old lady next to me eating peanuts.
Eating peanuts.
Right. The guys are right behind. She didn't flinch not once.
She flinched, right? You know, that's so crazy because, you know, even the fact that you're saying like they're blanks, it's like, oh, it wasn't a real gun, you know, to me. Because in America, you know, Independence Day, every 4th of July, it's like, you know, get on the floor, lay on the floor. You know, it's that conversation, right?
And so when you talk about PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder, yes, I have that. Yes, I do. I think coming from America, you know, you're born and like you're born. Here's your PTSD,
and we don't even know it because you just accept it. That's how it is.
No, you don't know it, and you don't know what you're actually dealing with. Right. You know what part or what section of trauma you're dealing with. Right. And you know, the greatest thing that happened to me in my life was I went to therapy. Learned a lot about myself. And so now it's like, oh, I'm good. No. Not fooling me with this. No.
Right.
Hey, I don't need this kind of to keep moving on with my life. So I think, you know, dealing with the police here and when people, as soon as they see you're African American, Black American, and you have a little anxiety with them. Oh no, please, no, please. Oh no, go.
True.
They don't want. They're keen on knowing. Hey, we know y'all got problems, but we don't want to add to that. And,
we don't got the problems here.
Yeah, they're like, hey, no, y'all come on, have fun, just be good. We got y'all back. Don't have no problems. I love Ghana police because they're catching on to more of our country to get away from bad police interactions, and they're like, we don't want you to come here and have a bad police interaction with us. So it's very welcoming country. I don't get paid to say that.
We welcome it, Ghana government.
I know,
but we need to know where the safe havens are. Okay.
Ghana, come to Ghana. Ghana is the gateway to Africa, and it has a little bit of everything here. And it has a lot of welcoming people. So, you know, if you want to try, you know, I want to go to the continent. Let Ghana be your first step, and that way, you know, you can say, okay, I want to see more of this, or see more of that. Where can I go? And then, you know, you can do that. But I tell you, if you don't know about Ghana,
he could go on forever about it. He could literally go on forever about it.
As far as
they need to hire you, okay?
Right.
Brand ambassador.
Yeah. But
that's
you know,
beautiful.
As far as safety, I bring people here, and you know, I tell guys, hey, come on, let's come roll with me. And you probably saw in the show where I'm out, and that I take people out. I'm like, no, look, this is how you can roll here.
Yeah.
And you can go here. What do you want to do? Let's go there. and nobody's going to bother you. Oh, sorry, brother, what are you drinking? Okay. Very, very welcoming. So what you saw on the show.
Uh-oh. Did the sound go out?
Yeah, I was like, wait, your sound went out on
We
you.
can't hear you.
Yeah, battery. So while they're getting that together, which is fine.
Yeah, we got some more comments over here.
Yeah, we have some more comments here.
We still can't hear you all.
Yeah, so in Ghana, we are not people of color. We are Africans being African. I love it.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, now
now we can hear you. Letitia's comment.
Oh, yes. Hello. Thank you. Yeah. And so now you can see, like, this for Tony, especially this journey, right? To have gone from a very American upbringing, very Black American lifestyle through to this journey into the bush and wilds of Africa, and coming out on the other side and realizing that that is the place where he can live that dream that he's been chasing in the US for so long. So when we had that conversation on the show, that conversation was like a 2-hour film. It literally is a conversation that not only have we had how many times leading up to that, but I've had so many times out of that, because I acknowledge that this is his experience, right? But I also acknowledge that my dad left Ghana to go to America for opportunity. And so it's so there's a dichotomy here to think of Tony having to leave America for Ghana for freedom. And then now, how do you balance opportunity and freedom and provide that to your children? How do you get both without having, I just feel like for me, I feel like I have to honor the journey my father took and the journey that he's taking, to give both of those to the children in a way that makes the most sense. So that's where we have this battle and struggle the most.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, one of the things that we've heard a lot, and I've experienced this myself, is that as an African American leaving America and going abroad anywhere, really, we carry with us our American privilege. And so we actually tend to have more opportunities outside of America than we do in our own country. And it was probably the same for your father as well, that he had less opportunities in Ghana and actually had more when he went to America outside of his own country.
Yeah. He went to the US to go to school. He went to college. He became a doctor. He practiced. And every year, without fail, every year, he would say, "This is my last year. I'm going to retire and go back home this year." And we'd be like, "Okay, Dad, we got you." And then one year he said it and we were all like, whatever. And it was like 3 months later, he sold all his stuff. And he's like, "Okay, so I told you I'm going home. So I'm leaving in a week, and you can come visit me. And okay, bye." And we were like, "Wait, what?"
Wow.
You're kidding. But it literally was that thing that always called for him, was that even though he was able to build his life and have a family and build a practice and enjoy the opportunities of America, that was always shrouded by the Blackness that he was so proud of. Like, we lived in the suburbs when I got older, and he got pulled over in our own driveway. And they pulled my white mother to the side and asked her if she was okay. Like, we had just come from a dinner. It was an award event. So we had just come from a dinner event. We were wearing like cocktail dresses. Okay. And they pulled my mother aside to ask her if she was okay. And he just was like, "It's my own, literally at my own house." So that is the thing, right? Like, how do you find the balance?
Yeah.
How do you accept the fact that no matter how many times people tell you that there's no racism in America and that everybody's equal and whatever you're feeling inside is not a thing, you cannot balance it with the feeling that you have inside when you leave. Like, those two things just don't jive. And so the most valuable thing that you can do as a person of color, no matter your race, like whatever, go outside of the US and see how it is to experience your being, your skin, your personhood, your individuality, your you, in a place where it's okay to be you.
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh. Yes. In a place where it's okay to be you. I mean, yeah, travel really can be healing, especially when you're traveling abroad, you're moving abroad, and really seeing, like you said, just how people are. I think, we're gonna air this interview, I think, next week, but we spoke to the Kellys, and one of the things that Gerald Kelly said, and I had never heard this before, he said that when they were in Ghana, I think they were at a restaurant or something, and they were waiting for their food. And it was taking a long time, and there were some people there, and they just said, "Oh, here, come, eat with us," and they just shared their food while they were waiting for their food to come. And I was like, that would never happen here. Like, we don't even want to share our food with our own family. It's like, get your hands out my plate.
Yeah.
And I was just like baffled. Like, people like this exist.
Yeah, it's actually one of the common phrases is you're invited. And so if someone comes into your space while you're eating, the statement that you say is you're invited. So it doesn't matter who it is that comes. If you have food and they are there, they're invited to.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my kids are putting their name on the orange juice, right? Like, seriously. I want this.
I remember those days. Let me smell your breath.
Juice. Oh, like, we are not doing that here. Take it off. It's everybody's. If it's in there, it's everybody.
Wow. That's little simple things.
One of the comments here was blue passport privilege.
Yep, it does.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's so low numbers of people of color who have passports means that they don't get to embrace the fact that there is privilege to it.
Very true.
And I think there's this stigma with this idea of like, go back to where you're from, right? as like a cut. And I just want to tell everyone out there, go back to where you're from. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is not the slight that it used to be.
No, not at all. Not at all. Now that we have woken up from the American nightmare, we're clear. No, we would gladly do that.
I want to read just one more. This happened to me a few days ago in traffic. I started hitting the floor, and it was their ceremony shots.
Yep.
Listen, we are trained. We have.
Gunshots is not going to hear. It's just.
Yeah, and so we're nearing the end of our show. We have about a little less than 15 minutes. So I do want to talk a little bit about how you all got onto the show. And
the show. The show, that's right. Coming from America. That thing we talked about. Yeah, we did that. Yeah. So what do you want to know about the show?
I mean, how did that all come about? Because so it was funny, right? When I was first watching the show, it kept saying 4 families. And I was like, what are they talking about? 4 families?
They cut it bad.
I was like, what 4 families? Can they not count? And then when they showed you all, I thought that they were just showing you from the perspective that you were giving advice about Ghana, not that you were actually the 4th family because you were already there. So how did that come about since you all were already there? You're the OGs, you had already been there for a while. How did you get involved with the show?
The irony is that when you played that opening, the cold opening for the show, there's the scene where Tony and I are up close. I'm wearing a pink head wrap. We're talking. Yes. That's in our Houston house. The first contact that we had, we were actually in Houston still, and we had just started our YouTube channel. We were talking about how we were getting ready to move, and then that's where the first touch of possibilities started. And they had this conversation, and the person who I think it was a casting person had reached out like, can we talk? And Tony and I are like, sure, whatever.
Do you mind if we record you?
Yeah, so if you want to, knock yourself out. So like we did that whole thing, and it honestly, it was, our mission was always about like making sure we're having a conversation where other people realize there's possibilities. Yeah. That was what we wanted to do. And so when we talked to them, we were just explaining what it was like for us and the possibilities that we're hoping for. And I think as they started to build that out, they were finding other families, and we went. So the families that they found were those that were kind of pre-go. We had already gone. But yeah, still, I felt they spent weeks with us filming. They have a lot of our story in the can, and we ended up.
Maybe they got something planned for season 2 we don't know
editing. About. I mean, that's what happens with TV. The editing is real.
Or maybe they got something planned for season 2 we don't know about.
I hope
I
so.
know they're listening.
I hope so. We
I know
really
everybody.
hope they will have a season 2.
They act like they don't.
I wished they would have had a little bit more of our storyline to give the context of having a little more solid plan and seeing what the goal, like what it looks like after those first steps.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they did close out the show and kind of like, this is home. Everyone's like, yay, this is home. But that's just step one.
Yeah, show home. show the integration of, moving around as a local and that part.
Getting jobs, figuring out money, putting the kids in school. Like that's a
the
lot.
kids in school thing.
Finding underwear, right? Like we still want to know if we can find some underwear.
We buy our underwear when we go back to America. Like
when you talk about the bras, I said I never thought of that. Oh my God!
It's weird because somebody reached out to us about bras.
I know
right?
that must have really stuck to the ladies.
I know. So there's somebody coming here. They're just bringing a bra store. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
We were like amazed here on Black Women Live America. We were like, wait a minute, we can't get underwear when we get over there. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do?
It's one of those, right? It's also feminine products are not of the same quality and variety. So there's a couple other little things where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And you can't, the consistency, if you see a product you like, buy all as much as you can.
Yep, back up.
3 months from now, you're like, hey, you got any more of the degree deodorant? Oh, no, we don't carry that anymore. It's not here. Waiting on something to get in. Okay. What about the grits? You got any more grits? Oh, I got to give a shout out real quick. I hope, is that allowed? Y'all mind?
Go ahead.
We have a group touring right now with a couple of young ladies, actually. She brought me some pancake mix.
It's the little thing.
We heard about that they didn't have pancakes, like what we consider pancakes.
Right, they have the Ghanaian style pancakes, are real thin, like a
you can make it from scratch.
But it's so much easier to just pour water in the bowl and mix it. But yeah, so Leah, thank you for the pancake mix. It's things like that where okay, now that I mentioned pancake mix, everybody's going to be like in 3 weeks, all the American stores here are just going to be flooded with pancake mix.
But what's interesting, in spite of all of that, right? And then you all talk about like the power challenges, the water challenges. You will still stay in spite of all of those things.
Yeah, I'll give you. We lost power at the lodge. We lost power at the lodge Saturday morning. Didn't get it back on until yesterday afternoon.
Ooh.
No, Tuesday afternoon.
That hurts.
So when I tell you,
did you see your face? Did you see your face?
That hurts.
The only issue was we had people coming in, and I was like, I was frantic because we gotta have this power on at the house, but they're upgrading their system, going through some changes, so we had to deal with it. But my thing was like, oh well, ain't no power. Go hang out
in the hammock, beer down the road.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is that when people say that, and I saw someone in the comment who was like, "There's no way I would leave America for Ghana."
Yeah, I saw that.
You are trying to equivocate different things, right? You're saying the U.S. you never lose your power, so why would you ever want to leave? And it's like, no, you lose your power, you just lose it in a different kind of way. And is that how you want it to?
Flint, Michigan still has really, really bad water. You can't drink that water. Flint, Michigan still 5, 6, 7 years later.
Oh, it's like 10, isn't it?
So it's just infrastructure isn't the same. And if you've never been to like like one of the little country towns in Alabama, Mississippi, that's Ghana. That's Ghana. They'll have like Kentucky's really poor, but the Derby's there and everything around the Derby and around like what's the city?
Yeah, it's like all built up. And then it's
wherever the Derby is, the city around the Derby is really built up and really nice. But every place else, the infrastructure is kind of like shady, kind of poor. Yep. That's Ghana. They got spots of nice places and things, but it's still a developing country. And so people try to compare the two, and I'm like, no, you can't do that because all they show you here is the negative things of Africa, of Ghana. And all the people here say the great things. And so when I tell them, oh no, power's out over there, and they're like, why is the power out? Well, they had a storm come through, people aren't gonna have power for a while, or whatever it is, people don't see the other side of America. They just see the glitz and glamour. And
but there's dysfunction in the States as well. And to say otherwise is just like when people make comments like that to me, you're just very unaware.
What are you comparing it
Right.
the States to? Where have you been that you have something to compare?
But then there's this other piece of it too, and especially for women, because as Black women, we have like 7 jobs, right? We got the job we get paid for. We got the side hustle we need to get the money for the job that we get paid for. Then we're taking care of ourselves, which is a whole nother job. Now we got to take care of the household, the husband, and the kids. Am I at 7 yet? It feels like maybe 12. When you come here and you are able to pull into kind of like the Ghanaian way of life, like I did not know that in addition to a husband, I also needed a wife, and I get to have that here. I have someone in the house who takes care of the laundry and plans the meals and does the grocery shopping. And because of that, I live a different type of life here than I ever could in the United States. So when people are like, oh, there's no way. And I'm like, are you thinking it through? Are you really? I got a massage this week, cost me $20 for an hour-long massage, and I get to have it all the time because I live here. And someone else is cooking lunch for me in my house because that's a helper that I have available. What?
Yeah, you're talking about that emotional labor, right? That labor having to, what's for dinner? Okay, are the kids got the laundry cleaned? All of those.
Those kids want you to feed them every day.
Every day.
Not every day.
And that's such a different thing.
There's a comment here that I wanted to make sure we talked about. Right?
Yeah, I was so confused.
First family, because I was
I felt really bad. The boys were really excited to be on the show, and then we didn't even get a family introduction. We recorded one.
That's true. You just want to throw you in there, and I was like, oh.
Maybe that's for season 2, because I know they're listening. Maybe that's for season 2.
Season 2.
They can follow me around doing my tours and all that. All the interesting people like Letitia, my cousin. She's my new cousin. We're not blood related, but she came, hung out
we
with
all
us.
Cousins.
We are. 2 countries visit 50. There you go. And it's just, I can see the door opening for a lot more, with the Expat Life Ghana tours and taking people around and bringing people in, and now they're living here and things. So I can see a lot happening.
That's the thing about it, is that now there's so many people who are excited about this possibility that are coming through, and they come through for such different reasons, and they have different experiences because of it. The experience of right now, we've got people in who are in their 70s, right? The experience of the 70-year-olds versus the girls who just came in who are in like their 20s and 30s. Yeah, those are 2 different. They're walking this experience in 2 different ways with 2 different sets of baggage that they're coming forward to, and there's stories that are in there about what it really feels like to come from America into this type of space. And so I just think there's so much more opportunity to continue having conversations because, again, the Black experience is not monolithic. There is not just one kind of Black person coming and then we all have the same story. It's just unrealistic.
We're definitely gonna have you guys come back for
there's so much to talk about.
I have so many questions that I didn't.
I know we didn't even get to those.
I know it's like we're just cracking open that bottle and like, okay, what's going on?
Right. So you guys, oh my gosh, it's been amazing interview. I love everything that you said so far. So one of the questions I do want to leave off with, and then I'll hand it on over to Avalaura to ask a question as well, is what have you learned about yourselves through this journey?
I needed a wife. No, I'm just kidding.
That's real though.
That's facts.
I'm allowed to get 4 or 5 of them here in Ghana, so start picking them.
She said she needed one, not you.
No. They don't do that here.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. What did you learn about yourself? I'll let you go first. Should I think about mine?
What did I learn? That
was carrying more baggage being a Black man than I realized. You know, there's some things that you know you're going through, but coming here, and it happens when I go back to the States. Whenever I go back, then I'm
you are acutely aware of it when you go back.
I'm reminded of things, and it's just I was carrying more baggage than as a Black man in America than I realized I was. So I think for me, that's what I learned is I feel like I can let what is that, Red Bull or commercial? You know, Red Bull gives you wings.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel here. It's like every morning I drink a can of Red Bull and I grow wings. And I can just be open and be free. Where in the States,
drink a can of Ghana and you just
I just well, I don't know what they put in that club, but you know, in the States, I'm kind of contained. You know, I can't be myself too much here. Ooh, I'm going over there. I can't really open up around family. Yeah, but if we're out someplace, then you still got to kind of so. Anywhere I went, I was consciously making myself smaller so I didn't bring too much attention. I'm 6'2", big Black guy, dark skin. I don't want to bring too much attention to myself already. So let me try to minimalize myself some in these other people's spaces. Where here, hey, I can be as loud as I want. I can be as free as I want. What's happening in Kumasi? I'll see y'all next week. What's in the Bree? I'll see y'all this weekend. Wherever I go, whatever city I go to, I don't have to worry about minimalizing myself. That I can just be Tony Jones. That's what I learned about myself.
That's a good. Like, how am I supposed to top that now?
Oh,
you can't. No, I think for me, it's more about saying that you have to find a point where you release your fear and do that which you feel emboldened to do. And I think we're always worried about the bad and we forget about all the possibilities. And so I think that is the piece of it, because there continues to be a piece of me that's like, are we doing the right thing? Is this the right choice? Are we making a mistake? Should we be doing something differently? And sometimes I just have to say, live without fear, embrace the now. Everything is going to be okay. And so far it has been.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for
that. No, it's not so. I'm glad you put that up there. No, it's not self-imposed. If you hear somebody tell you, hey, you should be standing over there and being quiet, when you come into a room, you know to go over there, stand and be quiet. So it's not self-imposed. It's just a self-recognition. Hey, this is my place. Let me go to it.
And you always talk about when you go back, you feel like you have to pick up the baggage. And I think it's very interesting because it's different for me in terms of being a woman and being light-skinned. I notice that when I go back to America, I disappear. And I think that is so weird. Like when I'm here, I've seen people acknowledge, like, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. People look you in the face. And as I travel west, I fade away and I end up.
Wow.
So I'm leaving to go do some work in the U.S. And that's the part I'm not looking forward to, is that people stop looking me in the face and they don't speak to me, and it almost is so slight that I think we don't even acknowledge that it's happening, right? Like we're just like, oh yeah, they're busy, or like, maybe they're we're so used to it.
Yeah.
But being here and I'm not. And so when I go back to America, I have to get used to this thing that, like, I'm not even seen now. I have to accept invisibility. I have to accept being so insignificant that people can't be bothered to acknowledge I'm standing
That's
here.
That's crazy, because I go to being the elephant in the room. They're like, I know there's an elephant over there, huh?
Yeah, no, it's definitely the other way.
Talking about that Black lady. There was a Black lady over there. All I saw was the elephant. That's how we are.
Different experience. Yeah, I notice it, and it's very interesting because I noticed it right from the airport. Like as soon as I get off that first plane and I'm walking through JFK, I love that there's still a mix of diverse races, but and so that idea that is this self-imposed? Are you just seeing what's not there? The answer is that you're not seeing what is there because you haven't had the experience of going outside and seeing what life is like in a different set of possibilities. And yes, it can be Ghana. It can be, you want to go to South Africa, you want to go to South America, wherever it is that you want to go. Those experiences give you a different perspective altogether and help you to realize that the American existence for people of color is not about equality and it's not about acceptance. And any way that you can to find a piece of that will change you. It can't help but to change you. When you get to be seen and you get to be yourself and you get to walk in peace in your own skin, you go back to America and you wonder if this is all that there was ever meant to be and why it is that they sell you the story so strongly.
I'm going to how to say your name, Ayo, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Girl, I need you to start a whole new channel. And all I want on that channel is your motivational spot. I just want you to motivationally talk me into leaving. Okay. All right. I'm going to go watch your channel again so I can get up and go. You have said so many like tweetable, well, we're not on Twitter no more. You have said so many great quotes that I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Real. I mean, for those of you all watching, please go back through and watch. You did. I mean, when you said, you know, like we might have, you know, power, lights and stuff, but we lose our power. I was done. Like, where am I? Like, interview over. Next.
You almost wouldn't know that I speak publicly as my brother.
I wish I had snaps. I don't have any snaps.
Public speaker here.
I do speak and train publicly. That is how I make my money.
Clearly, yes. That is very evident.
About the third sentence you said, I was like, oh, she's speaking. Got it. Okay. I work with speakers, so I caught you.
I mean, this has been an amazing discussion. And this is why we never have a topic, because we never know where the conversation is going to go. We just trust that it's going to go where it needs to go. And I think this is going to be so healing and transformative for everybody watching, because these are things that, you know, there might be an urge to say, oh, you know, I'm not really happy. I work with people who are not happy, who are not fulfilled, and we're exploring that. And, you know, really, what is their purpose and their passion, and what is it they really want to do, and how they can really be authentic. And I don't think a lot of people realize how just their environment, right, suppresses them and shrinks them. And so to hear this perspective and to see that, you know, sometimes it really isn't just me, but it's really where I am. And if I leave this environment, it's easier. You still got to do the work, right? Because Tony said, I was in therapy. You still have to do the work, but healing is more possible, you know, when I move to a different environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, you know, for us to really understand and to claim and to know, listen, you got options. Like you said, you can get a job somewhere else. You can start a business. There are things that you can do to support yourself so that you can get the healing and the transformation you need. You don't have to stay stuck wherever you are.
Well, and the fact that you can even see there's so much weight to it that is unsaid.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the journey itself gives you the perspective that you need to come back and see what is good for you, what is not good for you, where is the direction that you really want to take yourself. That American dream keeps us in this rat race of consume and expand and in such a way that you're doing it almost like to what end? To what end? And
hustling backwards, as I say.
So the journey itself, even if you don't know where the clarity is or the direction is, or if you're not sure if it's real, right? There is no harm in having the experience and then seeing where you stand afterwards. And I think that's just where we approach this is always about, listen, we started this tourism company. It was an accident. We just wanted to share this experience with other people. And now that we're doing it, Tony's at the helm here, bringing people in so that they can have this transformation that he's had, and then go back to their homes and think and reflect about where they want their life to lead them now. So again, and I'm going to say it as many times as humanly possible, if you are a person of color in America, I need you to save your pennies, get on a payment plan, do whatever it is that you need to do. You must experience what it is like to be in a space where it's okay to be you. And yes, we would love you to come to Ghana. Come join us for a tour. Bring your church group, bring your sorority, fraternity, bring your family, extended family, so that everyone has an opportunity to experience what it is like to live your own best life in your own skin with self-love. It changes everything. So we would love it to be with us, expatlifeghana.com. But if not, please take the step, have the journey, and share your experiences with others so that we can ignite this idea that it's okay to be you and you do have options.
Yeah. I think that is that's a great note. Listen, this chat has been on fire. Okay. They absolutely, people can relate, lots of stories here. Keep them coming. We'll definitely monitor the chat even after, especially for the replay viewers. This has been a really rich conversation. Obviously, it's one that needs to be had over and over and over again. I don't think that we can talk about this enough. And I just want to say thank you all for watching. Please go ahead and subscribe to our channel, Black Women Leave America. Please continue the discussion. Please continue to support us and support conversations like this. We started
and subscribe to Expat Life Ghana's YouTube channel as well. Don't forget about Expat Life Ghana.
They got you. We started this channel because we wanted to tell Black women's stories. And we're firm believers in if what is out there does not represent you, doesn't align with who you are and what you believe, then you can start your own, and you need to tell your own stories. And that's why we started this channel. And so this just shows we need to continue to tell our stories, because we're not monolithic, like you said. And there's so much depth and so much richness, and that's one of the reasons we love Coming From America. And we hope there is a season 2, because we need to continue to tell our stories. We're here on YouTube, but we need to tell them on major networks, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We need to keep that coming. So
we agree with you 100%. Let's keep it coming.
Yes, let's keep it coming. Like, this is not the end. Like, don't just do a one and done, right? Where you say, oh, well, we did our quota, now we can move on. No, we need to keep it coming.
And like I said, like Avalaura said, if I could show you all the chat and the questions and everything, like, we can't go through it because we're ending the show right now. But man, there's so many questions and so many people like, yes, I'm thinking of it. And what do I do? And how are the schools and all that good stuff? So I'd love to have you back for.
We'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it again.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us. You both of you.
Appreciate being on your show, and thanks for the invite.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching. And like Avalaura said, make sure you subscribe to both channels. We'll make sure we link to your channel down in the description down below. So if you're catching this on the replay, please let us know your thoughts. Make sure you leave us a comment. What was your takeaway? Because this interview we got deep, okay? We went there. So please let us know in the comment section. And if you're listening to us on any of the podcast networks, make sure you go ahead and subscribe there as well. Leave us a comment. Let us know what your takeaway was, and we'll definitely respond. We'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.
Charlie out for now.